Dear friends, we will be starting in a couple of minutes. We request everyone to quickly fill up the registration form in the meanwhile. Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2024, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030, as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. Today, we are commemorating World Introvert Day on January 2nd. It is the day after dreaded festivities of past year ends, when they can finally get some peace and quiet to recharge their social batteries. World Introvert Day is recognized as a day to understand the many introverts around the world better. The one day best celebrated not by throwing a party, but by cancelling one. It is a perfect day to celebrate introverts by leaving them alone and giving them the space they need. Introverts prefer calm environments and limited social engagements and are most happy in their own company. World Introvert Day was brought to life by popular German psychologist and author of free ebook Happily Introverted Ever After, Felicitas Hene. On September 20, 2011, Hene wrote a blog post titled, Here's Why We Need a World Introvert Day on her website, Hypersonic. It was the article that kick-started the gears leading to the first World Introvert Day. In the article, she said that it was high time the world awareness was sharpened to the distinctiveness of introverts. She highlighted some of the discrimination introverts face because of their reclusiveness and demoned the underappreciation of introverts by general society. Hene suggested that World Introvert Day be created and celebrated on January 2nd, a date she chose because introverts around the world draw a collective deep breath at the end of the draining holiday marathon that starts with Christmas and ends with on New Year. Swiss psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung was one of the first people to define introversion as a concept of psychological context. In his 1921 book, Psychological Types, he theorized that every human being falls into two categories, introvert or extrovert, and they compare introverts to the ancient Greek god Apollo, who shines a light on understanding. He claimed that introverts are focused on the internal world of reflection, dreaming, and vision, which could make them uninterested in joining the activities of others. Since then, more psychologists have developed more expansive theories about introverts and introversion. Carl Jung publishes a book called Psychological Types, which conceptualizes introversion and extroversion. Inspired by Carl Jung's writing, the work of Catherine Briggs and her daughter, Isabel Briggs Myers, in personality testing leads to the creation of Briggs-Myers type indicator, now known as MBTI, in 1942. On January 2nd, the year after Felicitas, Henney put up a blog post advocating a day to celebrate introverts worldwide. The first World Introvert Day is celebrated in 2012. Felicitas Henney writes an ebook to help introverts tackle their problems and develop their true potential. Happy Introverted Ever After in 2019. There are four types of introverts. In 2011, introversion was broken into four main types based on the research by three psychologists, Jennifer Grimes, Jonathan Cheek, and Julie Norem. The four types of introverts are social introvert, the thinking introvert, the anxious introvert, and the restrained introvert. It is hard to give an absolute percentage of introverts because introversion and extroversion exist on a spectrum. The most people are not fully extroverts or introverts. However, research from the MBTI global sample reveals that 56.8% of people in the world lean towards introversion. It's perfect day to cancel on that party with your friends or trying to drag you to celebrate World Introvert Day by simply curling up in the bed with a glass of juice and your favorite movie. Walk around in your pajamas and ignore all the noise of the outside world. Introverts are the most productive when they are alone. Choose World Introvert Day to bless the world with some of your creativity. Write a poem, paint something, build a website, or use any of your talents to bring some more joy to the world. Take this time to go on nice walk or long walk down a quiet road. Take a pet along and enjoy some peace and calm. It is a perfect opportunity for some reflection. They don't always want solitude. Just because introverts enjoy being alone doesn't mean they want to be alone all the time. They enjoy human company from time to time. Introverts often stay silent and can act awkwardly during social interactions. But this does not mean that they are trying to be rude. Silence doesn't mean rudeness. Once an introvert gets comfortable with you, their inner wild child could come out. They can be extroverted sometimes. In fact, some of the world's most famous public speakers are introverts, including former US President Barack Obama. They aren't necessarily shy. Only thing is the acquaintance that makes them extroverts with the people whom they are with. They don't hate people. On the contrary, introverts are often very interested in people and they can be the most avid people watchers. From Charles Darwin to Albert Einstein, some of the world's most brilliant people have been introverts. World Introvert Day celebrates introverted people and their contribution to the world. It also helps us recognize that introversion is not a limitation on people's abilities. Because of how reclusive introverts can be, they tend to be misunderstood by society. Introverts are often misjudged as being arrogant, disinterested, timid, aloof. World Introvert Day helps to understand introverts and their needs more. Whether you are an introvert or an extrovert, we all need to experience some calm in our lives. World Introvert is a perfect day for quiet reflection and meditation to clear your head in your world full of noises and distractions. Today is also commemorated as Swiss Cheese Day in US. This beloved smelly and holy cheese has stolen the hearts of many around the world. Swiss cheese is yellow, medium hard cheese originating from Emmental in Switzerland. Not all Swiss cheese have holes. Since the holes in Swiss cheese are called eyes, those without holes are called blind Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese, as we know, it was first manufactured in 1300s in the west central region of Switzerland, also known as Emmental area. This is why Swiss cheese is also known as Emmental cheese. In fact, if you ever go to Europe and want some Swiss cheese, you have to ask for Emmental cheese or you would only get blank stares. Since the 1300s, the Emmental area has been remained great for pastures on which local farmers graze their cattle. The milk obtained from these cows is used to produce Swiss cheese we all love and love today. Farmers in Emmental don't keep more than 20 cows at a time so that they can take care of them more thoroughly. Over time, cheese has become synonymous with Emmental. Around the 1800s, the first Swiss cheese dairies made their way out of Switzerland and into the world. Today, Swiss cheese is available throughout the world, but the best of them can still found in the plains of Emmental, where farmers carefully select their cow's diet to get the best flavor of the cheese. The origin of cheese actually predates recorded history with an ancient food. The earliest records of cheese making date back to 5500 BC. In what is now Poland, archaeologists have ever found evidence of Egyptian cheese date back to 2000 BC. So no one is sure that who first thought to turn milk into cheese, but we're certainly thankful for them. If you believe ancient Greeks, the culture god Aristoteles was the first to discover cheese. The story goes to the learn how to make milk into cheese from some nymphs. The might explain why cheese tastes so heavenly and decadent, distant. A Roman writer take Lucius Junius Moderatus, Colmello, a prominent writer of agriculture in the Roman Empire, details the cheese making process in his book De Re Rustica in 65 AD. The first industrial cheese factory, Switzerland establishes the very first factory for the industrial production of cheese in 1850. 1-5. Swiss immigrants moved to Wisconsin, bringing Swiss cheese with them late 1800s. The Guggisberg Cheese Company develops the variety of American Swiss cheese known as Baby Swiss, mild 1960s. In the UK, the most parts of the Europe cheese are named after region of Switzerland. They come from Appenzeller, Emmental, etc. Looking for Swiss cheese in Europe is like looking for Indian food in India. And you have to specify what type of Swiss cheese you mean. A poll of 8,000 adults in the United States revealed that most popular cheese in America is cheddar cheese. 1 in 5 respondents said that it was favorite type of cheese. American cheese, mozzarella, and Swiss cheese placed per second, third, and fourth respectively. While cheese is generally not great for children younger than 12 months, Swiss cheese is an exception. Most cheese varieties tend to be high in sodium, which can put babies at risk of obesity and hypertension. However, Swiss cheese naturally has low sodium, making it acceptable for children over 6 months. The bacteria that make human beings stink up is closely related to the bacteria responsible for stinky cheese that some poor mosquitoes even mistake cheese for human flesh. Studies cheese or Swiss cheese with large holes or eyes enjoys a more extended fermentation period 1930 to January. Today is also commemorated as run it up to the flagpole to see if anyone salutes it day in US. It's quite fitting for this day to occur at the start of New Year. At the phrase run up the flagpole and see if anyone salutes means to test our new ideas. You could have million ideas buzzing throughout your head, but it is advisable to go on someone to get genuine feedback, and this will help you to take your next step to self. We have always ideas running in our minds, a style makeover, a professional project, and a professional hobby. The phrase gained popularity in the United States between 1950 to 1960. It was widely used in advertising and print media linked to advertising agencies in Madison Avenue, New York City, and where ad professionals often to brainstorm then spiritual victors and taking. Today is also commemorated as Reconquest Day in Spain. The day commemorates the capture of Spanish and Portuguese territories from the Moors by Catholic kings of Spain. A series of military campaigns known as Reconquista occurred between 718 and 1492. The victory has marked the couple conquest of Spain took place in 1492 when the Queen Isabella, King Ferdinand IV, no, King Ferdinand V captured the city of Granada from the Moors. Following this victory, the Moors were forced to convert to Christianity and later expelled from the New Year's Day. Substitute is also commemorated today in New Zealand on January 2nd, where New Year's Day falls during the week of following Monday. If the new day is not up until the 16th century, New Year's Day on January 1st was hardly a tradition in different countries worldwide. had their times when they celebrated the New Year. In ancient Babylon, the first recorded New Year celebration took place in the year 2000 BC. The Babylonians designed their calendar around the movement of the moon and sun. They celebrate their New Year in the month of Nisan, the first new moon after the vernal equinox, mid March in Gregorian calendar. Before the ancient Roman calendar reformation in Nuna's era, Romans followed the 10-month calendar throughout to have been created by the first king of Rome, Romulus. The month of March was the first on the calendar. As a result, the New Year celebration took place on March 1st. Later on January and February were introduced to the Roman calendar. But the last 2 months, hence, however, are some benefit people began seeing them as the first 2 months of year instead of 153 BC. Romans have started celebrating the new year on January 1st. Today is also commemorated as National Science Fiction Day in US. When it comes to fiction writing, the stories are only limited by one's imagination. And no matter what type of fiction stories you like, chances are a few of them involve some sort of science fiction topics. So, National Science Fiction Day on January 2 is a perfect day to celebrate this type of story. Science fiction touches so many different areas of literature that most people can find one area that they love. Science fiction can include stories based in space with aliens like E.T. or space battles like Star Wars. The genre also can include time travel, such as H.G. Wells' famous book, The Time Machine, and the Doctor Who franchise. Even superhero movies involve science fiction. After all, who would like to believe? If you are fascinated by the unknown and by the possibilities of what science can bring in the future, you probably would be already are a fan of science fiction. And that's why National Science Fiction Day is perfected to celebrate all these different books, movies, and television shows. You might not love sci-fi enough to consume its stories every day, but the special day is a great opportunity to spark your imagination. Today is also commemorated as National Pet Travel Safety Day on January 2nd in US. Whether it is a four-legged ball of fur or winged wonder, pets need to travel in comfort and safety. That is why this National Pet Travel Safety Day, held on January 2nd each year, and embodies created by celebrity and family lifestyle expert Colleen Page. This day covers all the areas of interest, be it car, airplane, or even Today is also commemorated as National Pet Travel Safety Day, US. Whether it is a four-legged ball of fur or winged one, pets needed to travel in comfort and safety, which is what National Pet Travel Safety Day, held on January 2nd each year, embodies, created by celebrate celebrity pet and family lifestyle expert Colin Page. This day covers all the areas of travel, be it by car, airplane, or even a little bike ride. Every trip should be a safe one for you and your pets. And National Travel Safety Day is dedicated to the cause. People have traveled with pets almost as long as they had them, so we suppose, but up until the 1880, until the 1980s, only the richest people took their pets with them wherever they went for multiple reasons. First, money, and second, only a select few high-end hotels catered to guests with pets in tow. Third, travel was limited to private rail cars or automobiles, limiting pet-friendly movement options for regular people. Then, in the late 1980s, 1989 to be the precise, a Trans World Airlines TWA flight attendant named Gail Martz decided she wanted to take her pooch with her on the airplane. The airline rules foiled her initial attempts and succeeded in frustrating her completely. Then she hit upon an idea. Her dog, a Shih Tzu, was tiny enough that she could carry it comfortably. She designed a purse that allowed her to carry her dog into the plane and keep it under the seat in the cabin. This soon to be immensely popular accessory was named the Sherpa bag and became the global standard for airline in cabin bags for pets. Marts went on the petition nearly every airline to allow pets on board. When they realized how much pets could boost flyers' morale, multiple airlines began allowing well planned, well behaved pets on board. Then in 2001, the European Union introduced a scheme that allowed EU member country citizens to travel freely back and forth with approved carriers using special pet passports called the PET scheme. It soon expanded to include pets from the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. The world became a pet owner's oysters for the most part. Travel to certain countries with a pet is still subject to varied restrictions. Guatemala, for instance, bans entry for pets without rabies vaccination, even if they have pet passport. Hotels and institutions were not far behind into the pet revolution. Large chains, smaller B&Bs, everyone opened their doors to the pets. They realized something. A Starwood study showed 76% of pet owners are more loyal to chains that allow pets, even if owners don't travel with pets themselves. As pets become more commonplace across households, pet owners are looking for the ways to help keep their animal babies happy and safe as they travel. The International Air Transport Association IATA adopts new rules that dictate how pets travel in cargo holds of airplanes. Pet travel is now safer and more comfortable. In 2006, safety testing Subaru partners with the Center for Pet Safety to test dog harness for safety measures in 2019. The 2019 Jeep Cherokee is the latest in the series of vehicles to release pet friendly features. This model has a crate so dogs can travel in the style and comfort. Ban on import of dogs in America levied on 113 countries. This ban prevents dogs from other countries as well as those with American owners who have been on trips abroad from coming into the US. The end goal is to prevent dogs with rabies from entering the country. Sometimes your animal buddies don't want to come along on your holiday. If so, there are multiple alternatives to take on taking pets on trips, including pet sitting and pet boarding. So do practice run first, take mini trips the way you plan to take your big trip. Get pets accustomed to the vehicle you plan to use, the people coming with you, and even the accommodations they will be expected to travel in like crates. Check your pet is as excited at the prospect of traveling as you are. If they love to come along, make sure their comfort takes precedence over everything else. All unrestrained pet is like a living cell phone distracting you as you drive. They are also in danger of getting hurt in case you brake hard or get into an accident. Restraints are essential in cars. Get a crate. These are best when you want to transport animals anywhere while keeping them comfortable. Feeding pets during a journey is a choking hazard and might give them motion sickness. Feed them a few hours before the travel to prevent bloating and indigestion. A toy or a blanket, whatever your pet takes comfort in, should come along with you on your trip. It keeps them and you happy along the way. Give them an ID collar, microchip, or anything else that helps people identify the owner, just in case your pet gets lost on the trip. This day educates pet owners about various ways they can keep their pet safe while traveling. Multiple resources and events online can increase awareness and result in safer, well traveled pets. If your pet loves to travel, chances are this day just made him or her much happier and comfortable too. You got their safety covered, so now they are free to enjoy their trip. The more secure your pets are, the better you will concentrate on traveling. There are fewer chances of you getting distracted and running into trouble because of your pets. Today is also commemorated as National Personal Trainer Day on Jan 2nd in US, when many people start working towards their New Year fitness resolutions. Personal trainers guide, motivate, and train you to exercise correctly. Without them, many injuries can happen due to bad form or incorrect use of the equipment, so they are a vital, often overlooked part of the society. Personal trainers should get the credit they deserve for the great work they do. Right before the new year is the festive season that leads to overindulgence in sweets and food. So, fitness is often at the top of our list of resolutions. This is where personal trainers come in to help us safely achieve our health and fitness goals and make our resolutions a reality. In the early 2000s, two fitness professionals, Jim Labadie and Joey Atlas, saw a significant spike in gym membership subscriptions tied to New Year resolutions, which usually led to personal trainers becoming extremely smart. Labadie and Atlas conceived this holiday as an opportunity to say thank you to the hardworking trainers who turn their lives upside down at the start of each year to help us reach our fitness goals. According to Labadie and Atlas, personal trainers put plenty of effort in planning, analyzing, and consideration to make sure the hard work of each individual amounts to something. National Personal Training Awareness Day highlights the benefits of a personal trainer to the chances of sticking to your fitness routine and achieving your fitness goals. Over the years, personal training has evolved and the advent of technology has played a considerable role. Personal training is no longer restricted to in person training in gyms or homes. It has moved online. The trainers are thinking ways to provide the best digital training without impacting the final goal. They form digital membership platforms that boost accountability and post online workout videos for their members. The American College of Sports Medicine is established and is the first organization to certify fitness profession in 1854. Personal training comes into existence the way we know it today in 20th century. Jack LaLanne opens America's first health club in Oakland in 1936. Jack LaLanne launches a television early morning exercise program specifically for homemakers in 1950. 1 or 3 days a week is ideal. Once a week is fine if you are on budget. But 3 times weekly helps you to learn exercise faster, which will be economical long term since you might not need a trainer after some time. There is no shortcut to exercising and getting the desired results. It requires effort and patience. You should ideally stay with a personal trainer for 3 to 6 months in the beginning. A personal trainer evaluates a client needs and goals, then makes a workout schedule and a nutrition plan in some cases for them. 60 minutes is the most popular duration among trainers and clients, but some experts say a session doesn't need to be that long. Some trainers start with 30 minutes for most clients to see if they are serious or more interested in a conversation. If you have a personal trainer, give them a shout out, write them a thank you note, or appreciate their efforts on social media. Even if you have already started your fitness journey without them, it's never too late to hire a personal trainer. They can evaluate your journey and goals, help you achieve them correctly and with long term results. If you haven't already, use this day to get started on your fitness journey. Exercising is vital to staying fit and healthy. Start with simple walks if you are not up for intense workouts, but hire a personal trainer so that you can get it right from very beginning of your journey. The earliest forms of personal training focused on combat, war, or an athletic career. The personal trainer doesn't need a college degree to be certified or successful in guiding people to reach their fitness goals. Personal trainers are, however, not qualified to give medical diagnosis or physical therapy. Contrary to what is might seem, personal trainers often place more priority and spend longer hours on their clients' nutrition and fitness to focus on theirs. Not all personal trainers work in a gym. Some offer online training while some freelance with the individual clients. Personal trainers consider each client's requirements before making a plan. They understand that one size does not fit all. They understand medical history, strengths, and weakness, and helps in achieving realistic fitness goals. Trainers not only help you get fit, but they also have to remain fit themselves. You wouldn't trust a fitness trainer who isn't fit themselves, right? They work hard on themselves while training others to do the same. Fitness trainers can go a long way to help you become your fittest self, yet they aren't given enough credit for that. They are not just standing, they are supervising. They are your biggest cheerleaders. Today is also commemorated as National Cream Puff Day in US, which is celebrated annually. Although the treat originated in France, it has been loved by Americans too. These light, airy, cream filled desserts make our hearts sing. The other desserts may come and go, but we are the team cream puffs forever, and with good reason might we add. Cream puffs are classic. They owe elegance. The dessert transports us to quaint Parisian caves, sometimes even farther back in the time of Renaissance Europe. Cream puffs are delectable bites of history. We are glad someone else felt the same way and called for the National Cream Puff Day. Whoever you are, we are eternally grateful. The history of cream puffs is a mystery. Culinary historians remain divided, and nobody can agree on who invented this wonderful dessert. Like all great recipes, this one was passed along by the word of mouth from one pastry chef's kitchen to the next and eventually crossing international boundaries. Today is also commemorated as National Buffet Day in US. Is a perfect excuse to fill your plate and feast. And let's be real, food unites us all. The ingenuity of buffets is the endless variety on offer. A good buffet is like getting all of the presents on your Christmas wish list. Every member of the family is left satisfied, and you leave feeling like you won't need to eat again for at least a week. National Buffet Day is for those who can never decide what they want from menu, for those who enjoy a plate piled high, and for those who just love to eat. The buffet table itself derives from the Bradmisbord, a type of Swedish beverage table from 16th century. This was a buffet system where women and men ate in different rooms but still had an array of food to choose from. In the 18th century, the modern buffet began appearing as a smorgasbord. The smorgasbord was initially a table where pre-dinner drinks and nibbles were served to group of guests separately from the main dinner. But over time, people started to serve the main meal too. The word buffet actually originates from the type of French sideboard used to serve food. It was used in the 17th century by Frenchmen who would unexpectedly arrive at the home of women they wanted to woo, and it was simply a piece of furniture. It became popular in the second half of the 20th century. Along with other smorgasbord, the word buffet was much easier to pronounce in English speaking world and was considerably easier to remember. The buffet's popularity has declined a little in recent years, but they will always hold a special place in our hearts. January 2nd is the day to go for a buffet and most make the most of what it can offer. Today is also commemorated as Motivation and Inspiration Day in US. It is a day to sober up all the festivities of New Year's Eve and really get to work on these resolutions. At the start of each new year, we all swear to heaven and beyond that this is the year we will achieve our set goals and improve ourselves in general. Motivation and Inspiration Day is the perfect day to get off your butt and start working towards that. It was also a day to remember the tragic events of 9/11 in the US and get a renewed focus in your daily life. Motivation and Inspiration Day came to the existence through the efforts of a motivational speaker in the United States, Kevin L. McGradden, popularly known as Mr. Motivation and America's Chief Motivation Officer. He used his company, Motivate America Inc., to push for the establishment of January 2nd as National Motivation and Inspiration Day. On September 11, 2001, the United States was the victim of coordinated terrorist attacks by militant group known as Al Qaeda. These attacks led to the death of almost 3,000 Americans, and the entire country was in a state of mourning and grief. McCruden advocated the creation of a special day for motivation and inspiration after seeing the effect of the 9/11 attacks on people's morale. He wanted a day to honor the loss, appreciate life, and acknowledge the importance of motivation and inspiration in our daily lives. He said that through all the loss, grief, and despair after the tragic events of 9 by 11, he saw Americans working side by side to accomplish amazing things. Every year, Motivate America chooses a few Americans to be the recipients of the American Motivation Awards, which honors motivational, inspirational, and patriotic leaders in America. On December 18, 2001, the US Congress passed a bill H-Res 308, making National Motivation and Inspiration Day official in the United States. The US Congress agreed that motivation and inspiration played important roles in the greatest achievements of civilized society, and that the beginning of the year was perfect time for reflection, planning, and goal setting. Today is also commemorated as Happy New Year for Cats Day in US. It is hard to fathom how we could love them even more or praise and with all the attention they receive. It is not only the day give a reason to slip little more catnip to our fairy felines, it also gives cats in the need of chance for a fresh start. Today is also commemorated as Ancestry Day in Haiti, commemorate the sacrifices and struggles of the Haitian ancestors who laid down their lives in the fight of freedom. It is a day to remember all the loss of lives during the Haitian Revolution and the people's struggle for emancipation and self-determination, which pinnacled in a declaration of independence on January 1st, 1804. Haitians have these two holidays back to back, and they commemorate them by having state events, dancing, and eating traditional jomo soup. On January 1st, 1804, the Republic of Haiti, formerly called Saint Domingue, proclaimed its independence from the French colonial government. Thus, Haiti became the first post colonial independent black led nation in the world and the first Caribbean nation to abolish slavery. The American bondsmen working for the French of the coffee and sugar plantations, allowing them to gain wealth through a brutally effective enslavement system, had been at war with one another for many decades before this victory. By 1789, Haiti was colonized state with over 5 lakh imported African bondsmen who were overworked, malnourished, and severely oppressed. The oppressed bondsmen began seeking retribution on the night of August 21, 1971, in what is now known as the Haitian Revolution. The proprietors of the plantations were killed after being dragged from their homes and burned at their stake. Over 4,000 French citizens were slain in the following 2 months, and 180 plantations were destroyed. About 2 million French francs were lost as a result. In retaliation, the French quickly formed a militia and started fighting back, resulting in the death of 15,000 African bondsmen. To mitigate the volatile situation, the French National Assembly extended citizenship, civil, and political rights to free Africans and mulattoes in March 1972. Slavery was likewise abolished in the island's northern province by Leger-Felicite Sontonax, a recently appointed governor. These actions did not affect the struggle until January 1st, 1804, when independence was declared. According to the Encyclopedia of African American Politics, about 2 lakh blacks and thousands of mulattoes lost their lives because of disease and war. Today is also commemorated as Someday We Will Laugh About This Week in January 2nd to 8th in US. It is celebrated every year from January 2nd to 8th to begin the year on a happy note. It's time to leave the old behind, make a way for new. Only when we can look back, laugh at, and change our perspectives, we can move on. The improved outlook will help us the world differently and adopt a more positive approach. If you are a student who is passionate about laughter, it's a funny mystery who created this week-long celebration, but it indeed falls at the right time to bring much needed laughter into everyone's lives. People often make choices they regret only to later laugh about it, or if they do something embarrassing but are too flushed to see the humor in the moment. It's never wrong to laugh at ourselves. It only helps us accept ourselves the way we are, because if we don't, we can't expect other people. Someday we will laugh at about. This week encourages people to put their past worries in the past by laughing at them and moving on. The very fact that this celebration falls in the first week of a new year is a sign that in with the new and out the old with a laugh. Laughter is often spontaneous and triggered by conversations or events. It exists in humans from the first few months of life, even in deaf or blind babies. Laughter transcends both socio-cultural and species divides since it has been observed in other great apes. The evolution of laughter can be traced back to 10 to 16 million years ago. Laughter has so many health benefits that even proven by science. In 1964, author Norman Cousins developed a treatment for his ankylosing spondylitis and collagen disease, which included large doses of vitamin C and laughter induced by comedy films. Sigmund Freud has also theorized that laughter releases tension and psychic energy. Even academic works have used humor and laughter as their topics. A notable contribution to this is Henry Bergson's 20th century laughter, an essay on the meaning of the comic. With laughter playing such as an important role in our lives, it is equally important to celebrate a week of laughing at ourselves and letting loose. Laughter is indeed the best medicine. Today is also commemorated as 55 miles per hour speed limit day in US to remember former US President Nixon's 55 mph speed limit proclamation. If you drove a car in the United States between 1974 and 1995, you had to adhere to this law unless you were a daredevil rule breaker. In 1974, President Nixon signed the wildly controversial law intending to cut down gas usage in America and make roads safer. Two categories of people celebrate 55 mph speed limit day. The first and most popular category remember the former nationwide speed limit with fondness and believe it should be reinstated. And the second category did not experience the limit but agree that it would do some good today. Regardless of your thoughts on speed limit, 55 mph speed limit day is a day to think about road safety and energy conservation and make smarter and safer decisions on the road. The first oil crisis of 1973, the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries proclaimed an oil embargo on nations perceived to be supporting Israel. This category included the United States. The domestic oil production in the United States had no hope of meeting the increasing oil demand. So the President Richard Nixon proposed the national speed limit to be set at 50 mph for passenger vehicles and 55 mph for trucks and buses in a bid to reduce the gas usage of Americans. Before this, states set their own speed limits. The US Congress passed this Emergency Highway Energy Conservation Act, including a national maximum speed limit of 55 mph on all four-lane highways. On January 2nd, 1974, President Nixon signed the bill into law, which became effective 60 days later. States had to agree to the limit or risk losing federal funding for highway repair. However, it had very low compliance across the United States. In states like New York and Nevada, the non compliance rate was as high as 83%. This was made worse when some states, in an act of rebellion, perhaps reduced speeding fines and minimized the law's impact. Arizona, Idaho, Montana, and Nevada replaced traditional speeding tickets with energy wasting fines of $5 to 15 as long drivers did not exceed the speed limit that was in effect before the 55 mph federal requirement. In 1995, the US Congress lifted all federal limit controls in the National Highway Designation Act, returning the power of setting limits back to the states. Most states reverted to the speed limits they had in place before 1974 proclamation. The slowest national average speed limit in the world is likely 50 mph. The speed limit is the standard in countries like Bolivia, Faroe Islands, Greenland, Uganda, Trinidad, Tobago, and Madagascar, among few others. However, in some rural motorways in Bhutan and Bangladesh, you could trudge along to the speed limits as 19 miles per hour. So, South Dakota has the highest speed limit in the United States with speed limits of 80 miles per hour on rural and urban interstates and 70 mph on other roads. Different signs for different nations, speed limit signs look different in different regions. Digital speed limit signs change depending on the time of the day and traffic flow, and they inform law enforcement on high speeding areas. In Germany, large portions of the federal highway or autobahn only have recommended speed limits. Some European cars have an intelligent speed adaptation technology, which helps them automatically process the speed limits on the road they are on. During World War II, the US Office of Defense Transportation set a national 35 mph victory speed limit to conserve gasoline and rubber for the war effect. It reminds us about the road safety. It gets us thinking about energy consumption. Speed limits also saves lives. Today it is also commemorated as National Science Fiction Day. With this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of polls. So see you all tomorrow at the same time with the same link for different commemorations every day, daily. Before leaving the platform, we request you to quickly fill up the feedback form. So see you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night.